We've been through these bailouts before, and there have been a lot of political finger pointing afterwards. You have a thought about how this should be done?
Yeah, we already know what's going to happen. You know, a year after this, plays out, and it will, we'll look back and say, why didn't we, consider the workers, the everyday hourly worker, the people, making minimum wage? Why didn't we reward them as well? And so let's get ahead of it. And whatever we do in a bailout, make sure that every worker gets compensated and is treated equally, and that the executives don't get rewarded extra to stick around because they got nowhere else to go. The government's taking their risk out of the equation. Let's treat all workers equally.
So, but how would we do that? Because one of the things that, look, there's going to be all sorts of stimulus plans, bailouts, and the like. And one of the things you want to do is get that money into the system as quickly as possible. You don't want people not to take the money. And so the more strings that you attach to it, and I'm not suggesting you don't, but the more that you do, the more likely it is that certain people may hold back. And so I'm trying to figure out how to capture that balance.
Okay. Two different things. One, getting money into the system is a function of the Fed, and they're obviously taking those steps right now. Two is when there's a bailout. When there's a bailout and the government comes in and offers assistance to an organization or public company in particular, whether it's an airline, whatever it may be, there are most likely going to be steps taken by the company, and historically this is what has taken place, where they reward the executives. Mm-hmm. They reprice their options. They give them more stock. They give them warrants. They give them options, whatever it may be. Whatever it is that a company does for their executives, they should be required to proportionally do the same thing for everyone else that works for the company. Period. End of story. Part one. Part two, no buybacks. Not now. Not a year from now, not 20 years from now, not ever, because effectively you're spending taxpayer money to buy back stock, and to me, that's just the wrong way to do that.
Do you think that we're going to have a national bailout for companies across the board? Do you think we should look to airlines or other specific industries for help? I mean, that we should be helping? How would you approach it?
I think we have to. I mean, look, this is cascading, and it's getting worse by the minute. The number of layoffs is just skyrocketing. And so if I walked in the door, the first thing I would do is prioritize. And I would create effectively, and this isn't the right word, but effectively create two buckets. Bucket number one, and we have to do these things in parallel. Bucket number one is how do you help companies of all sizes to keep paying their employees and not lay them off or fire them? Because we want to keep people employed, even if it's make-good work, even if this is the Tennessee Valley Authority all over again, and we're just subsidizing companies to keep their employees on the payroll and finding things for them to do. Because keeping them in the payroll, it will pay off more in terms of minimizing taxpayer requirements than releasing them or fire them or laying them off and them having to go find jobs in the future. So that's bucket number one. Do all you can to keep people employed. Bucket number two, we've already seen significant layoffs. There are people who are already unemployed. That's where we might consider helping people, whereas if you're going on to unemployment or any type of government, federal government assistance, then maybe we pay them a bonus, and that's not a good word for this, but give them a check for the $1,000 to help them get through the immediate need because they've just been laid off or they don't have a job. And that helps people get through these problem times. But they should be just two very distinct buckets. But the priority has got to be working to keep working to help people stay employed. I actually don't like the idea of just giving everybody a $1,000 check, because for a lot of small businesses, if they know that their employees are going to get a check and that business is struggling, they may say, you know what, I'm going to lay them off or fire them because I know they have a backstop of some sort. And when this is hopefully all over in 3 or 4 months, like people are predicting, we'll figure it out then. That creates a far greater stress on the system. So I really think that the priority needs to be, one, keep people employed, and two, those who have lost their job. We've seen the entertainment industry, we've seen the hospitality industry, the airline industry, the transportation industry is all decimated. And where there have been layoffs, I don't have a problem with those people who, as they get onto federal assistance, giving them a check up front to help support them and the economy. But we've got to deal with both, and I think the priority needs to be on helping people keep their jobs.